We didn't think the business was going to go in force, and it got placed in no time. And she was excited. So you see, it doesn't take much to make us happy. It just takes you getting, and we celebrate, just to let you know, we celebrate when you get your business placed. We are like, yes. If we feel as though if it's our own business that's getting placed in force. So we are celebrating when you are celebrating, because we know that your success is our success. All right, so just keep that in mind. So I want to talk today a little bit about steps to faster policy issue, and when policies get placed faster, what happens? What happens?
Money!
You know it. You know it. So yesterday, Michael Harden mentioned that he had an agent who had 10 cases, right? Yeah. And 9 were placed in less than 3 days. Who think that's a good thing? Who would like to see their business placed at? Right? We all would. So that means because if we get that many placed as quickly, then we can help more people, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. So I want to look at some of the steps, and these are the things that you can do. So, you know, if an APS is required, the attending physician statement, if that is required, there's not, you have to do it, right? It slows down the process, and a lot of you run into this. If there's a paramedic, nothing you can do, you have to get it done, right? But these are the things that you can do to make sure that the business gets placed faster. So here are the steps. So we're going to touch a little bit on licensing and contracting, field underwriting and application, double checking your work, cover letters, timely responses and follow-ups. That's the one, put a pin in that one. Policy issued, commissions paid, and then delivery receipt. So ready to get started? Yeah. All right. So the first thing, do you know that every time you submit an application to the carrier, that they have to do these checks before your business gets, you know, do you know that? Do you know that every time your license is going to check your contracting, your appointments? So yeah, it's every time, because if these things are not in place when an application is written and the carrier lets it go ahead, they can get fined because you're not licensed or you're not contracted. So these things have to be in place. So for the new people and some of the older ones too, make sure that you're licensed. So any split. So if you are, so Polly, you are splitting the case with Allie, right? In, let's say, in Minnesota. So you are the writing agent, Polly. Do you have to have a Minnesota license?
Yes.
Do you have to have a Minnesota appointment with the carrier?
Yes.
Since Polly is the split agent, does Polly need it, or she's good? So the split, even if you are splitting, you're giving the split agent 1%, or 0.5%. You know, that person won the annuity contest by 0.100%, whatever. If that person is on the application, they have to follow the same guidelines as the person who wrote, as the person who's getting 99.9%. So, what I would suggest is, if you are splitting a case, make sure that all the agents on the application has met the same requirements, license. And do you know you can check someone's license? Well, that is, if they send it in to us, it's in the back office. ABO, reports, team licenses. And then you can go check your team. Is that person who's like, sorry, I can't split my business with you, you're not licensed. Next. So make sure, and one thing to do, so make sure that the license is effective before you write an application. So this is a scenario I run into sometimes. I got a client in Minnesota. Okay, I'm going to get a Minnesota license. And you write the business the same day that you apply for the license. I would always say, hedge on the side of, just be cautious, because you don't know if something can go wrong. Yes, a lot of times the license is issued the same day, but I would say double check and make sure the license is issued before, because just that one day, so many times I see these caution comes in from the carrier. It's like the business was written on 1/7 and the license was issued 1/8. You know what that means? What does that mean? And so that means you have to go back to the client, get them to sign. Jen is shaking her head because I think Jen has felt. She knows what it is. So I want to save some of you that. So one of the things you want to do is make sure that the license is made effective and signed before. Pre-appointments. Ready to pre-appoint? Anybody knows? What did Pennsylvania do to the insurance department? Because in every state, Pennsylvania is a pre-appointment. And you know, pre-appointment is, so a lot of states, when you submit the business, the carrier can add the appointment. But in Pennsylvania, and each carrier has different pre-appointments. So Pennsylvania across the board is a pre-appointment state. So anytime you're writing business in Pennsylvania, you want to make sure the license is effective and you also have an appointment. You so contact Shay in the agent services, and you say, it's like, hey, Shay, can you check to make sure my appointment with Pennsylvania is intact before I write the business? These are the little things you can do, because if not, it stops the whole process from going through, okay? So make sure that's done. So that's pre-appointment and your contracting. Training, you guys know. There are some states where, Iowa is one of those states. That's the only state that you have to do training, IUL training. You have to do it. So these are the things you can know. So just FYI, every Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Shay and Shay do getting started training. So these are the things you should know, and they go over contracting, and they touch on these things. So when you have your new people, make sure that they are attending these, because this can save them a whole lot of unneeded having to do things over, okay? All right, so training, E&O, errors and omission. Make sure you have these things in place before, because what it does is everything's going, you're writing the application, you submitted everything, and then these things stop it. So then you have to stop and go and handle these things. Keep a handle on these administrative things throughout. So licenses, one thing I know is, you have a license, what? A license is good for like 2-3 years, right? Develop a system where you know when your license is coming up for renewal, right? Because there's nothing, you're going along, and then you write a piece of business, and oops, your license expired because you forgot to check. So I know it's a lot of little things, but you have to put systems in place to remind you when these things are, because nothing happens if, I always think of the licensing as the fundamentals. These things are needed, you have to do these things, so make sure you're taking care of your licensing and contracting. So I wanted to show you a timeline of a case that where the licensing issue came into play and what it did to you getting paid faster. And just FYI, if this is your case, don't say anything, just keep it to yourself. So just look at it as a learning experience, so I wouldn't say anything. So an app was submitted on August 24th. Great. It was approved better than applied for at Elite on August 20th. So 4 days later, great. However, you hear that word, on August 27th, a licensing issue was discovered. The split agent was inactive. Okay? So, option. So then the carrier says, you have options. You can, the split agent can send a letter saying that you can remove me from the case, or you just, if you want to keep the split agent, then you need a new app. That means you have to go back to the client and get a new application. So On August 27th, we reached out to FFS and the agent, no response. On August 29th, I personally reached out to the agent. The agent didn't understand. The agent thought it was their thing that they had to, their license. So they submitted something, the correct document. On September 5th, we informed them because we weren't hearing anything. They said they would submit a letter removing the split agent from the case, and then nothing. The carrier responded. The carrier just said, okay, we need this by September 24th to prevent the case from closing. We got the letter removing the split agent on the 10th. How long is that? Exactly, 2 weeks. So that is, so the case went from being approved in 4 days and now 2 weeks later, right? So if that agent license was okay, it would have gone through in about 4 or 5 days, right? Because it was approved, next day it could have been issued. So you see the difference when you don't take care of these things. And the policy was issued on September 11th. Okay? Okay, so this next section, you have heard it over the few days, the last, yesterday and today. Field underwriting. So one of the things I am going to say is this to me, and my team and Maria, the underwriting portion of the field underwriting, and this is where so the underwriters, they do their job, they are, processing, but you are the first line of defense, field underwriting. This is why I always tell my agents, each carrier has a field underwriting guide. You guys need to really download that. It's in a PDF, digital version, print it out, and review it, because that has so much information. It has so much, refer to it. A lot of times I see applications come in and uninsurable risk. And exactly what the uninsurable risk is, it's stated on the application, and that person is not going to. Take a minute, and if you're the next application, you look at the underwriting guide, the field underwriting guide, and you would see it has so much information in it. Okay, so when you have an application, I want you to do a little bit of preparation, and I hope you are all doing this already. And this is just to reinforce why you do this. So make sure that when you are doing your appointments or your pre-appointments with your clients, that to get the most out of it, make sure that they are preparing for the appointment with you. These are all of the things, so make sure they have all of this. Gather all the personal information, their annual income, a copy of their driver's license, name and address, so that when they sit with you, they have all the information and they're not guessing, and then you know how it is. We have so much in our brains, right? It's hard to remember which doctor you went to, your doctor's name. It's a lot. So make sure, set them up for success, okay? These are all of the things that you can have them prepare. You can give them a list, all the things they can prepare, so that when they sit with you, they're ready to go, okay? So that's preparing them for it. Enforced coverage, we just had one where they said no on, they had enforced coverage, and then after the policy's enforced, they remember. So that creates challenges. So make sure that you're setting your clients up for success. Okay, so here is this, field underwriting. So before taking the application, let them know, let them be aware. Nobody likes surprises. So this is something you can say. So you said, the application asks personal questions. As I ask them, please provide the most thorough answers you can for every application. The carrier and let them know that the carrier uses those third-party systems that they can check the information that they're giving to you. So let them know that they use different reports and stuff, that they are just confirming the information that they are giving you. So the information on these reports must match the answers you give. So many times we see that on the application they said no, but then the underwriter comes back and says, but we found this. Okay? So I would say set your clients up to succeed. So this is something you can say to them when you are sitting them down to let them know what's coming ahead. And these are, again, these are the third-party systems that the carriers use to check. And this happens in the background. So you submit an application, and it starts checking all of these things. Prescription, it's like, I haven't taken anything, but the IRS database says you've done this, this, and this. So let them know you are the financial professional. Exactly. You are the expert sitting with them. And they don't know this. They're probably just thinking, okay, they asked me if I forget something, I guess they just wouldn't know. But they do know. So there are no surprises, you let them know, okay? So they have a range of places to get that information. So make them aware so that it jogs their minds, like, oh, I need to do that, okay? Okay, so when asking questions on the application, slow down. And I brought one of the applications with me to read how the questions go. So listen to this. So it says, okay, any disorder or abnormal condition of the lung or respiratory system, including sleep apnea, shortness of breath, asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, tuberculosis, or allergies. And I could just see your clients checking out after 2 words. It's like, I don't have sleep apnea. But are they only asking you about sleep apnea? Right? So because what I see is, they said no. And are they saying no to just one thing? Or are they saying no to everything? So that no has to apply to everything. Okay? So a lot of the times I do see they say no, but then the underwriter, and that's because, so when you're asking these medical questions, slow down, read them slowly so that they're hearing. And if they look confused, eye contact. If they look confused, say there's something confused you and you clear that out. Just so that, because you don't want the underwriter, remember the underwriter said, we don't know your clients. We don't know. So they may think that, oh, they're trying to pull a fast one, and it could just be they did not hear. Okay? So make sure and slow down when you're asking these questions to make sure you get the full, all the questions answered correctly. Okay, so break down the questions into smaller sections. This will allow your client to think about each condition. Pay special attention to the following questions. And these are the ones they answer both no to a lot of times when it's a yes. Suspended driver's license. Most carriers will not issue a policy for somebody who has a suspended or revoked driver's license. So you want to make sure and they answer that correctly. Okay? DUIs, criminal history. So that is, we find a lot of questions no, but it's a yes. So medical question, uncontrolled diabetes, A1C. And you guys have to learn, as you financial professionals, you have to keep constantly asking yourself, why, what is this? And learning. So A1C. A lot of people didn't know what A1C is, now you do. It's associated with diabetes, right? Pre-diabetes. So you want to learn as you go, learn the thing, some of these diseases and stuff, and what conditions make somebody uninsurable. Okay. After taking the application, you can say something for the following. Thank you for your patience in providing this information. We need this to get to the underwriters. There's information I should relate. Okay. Is there any other information that you have not shared with me that you would like to about your lifestyle, because as they said, these things could impact, right, your coverage. So you want to let them free-form. Is there anything else? Hey, I go base jumping. You guys know what base jumping is? You stand on the top of a perfectly safe mountain and jump to the bottom with a back suit on. If they do that, that's something the underwriters will want to know. You know, I go drag racing on the streets. So, and then the last thing here is manage your client's expectation. We talked about that. Let them know the carrier, the underwriter may have additional questions. So you're managing their expectation. You don't say you're going to get super preferred. You don't know what's in their medical records. So just set expectation and stay in touch with your client during the underwriting process. Okay? And don't do a disappearing act. So this is something I just saw a couple of cases. So this application was submitted on April 30th. It was declined on May 6th. And this is because they said no to what it is they said no to? So, right, driver's license. They said no, that it wasn't revoked, you know, everything was fine. But when they ran the MVR report, they saw the license was revoked. So this is one though. One of the worst situations is the big rescinded. Do you guys know what rescind means? Exactly. So you answer all the questions, no, but after, if the policy is issued, they come back and says, oh, we found something. So how do you explain that to your, how do you say that to your client? How the client doesn't have, no longer has coverage. The beneficiaries no longer are beneficiaries. And that person is going to make it harder for them. So this is why you need to upfront explain why the client needs to be honest on their application. And you need to convey that to your clients. It's like, hey, I need you to be very forthcoming, and we need to just explore everything and just be upfront about everything. Okay? All right, okay. These are the things I want you to double check every time you submit an application. Banking information. Do you know how many times? Because I don't think anybody has apparently checks anymore. So, but if you do, if you can, because what happens is you flat finger, right? You see a 2, you put a 3, or you hit the 3 and you don't even know. When it comes to banking information, if you can't attach a voided check, double check, triple check, quadruple check the banking information. Because if the banking information is incorrect, what happens? You can't. What happens? You can't. Exactly. So double check, triple check your banking information to make sure it's correct. Driver's license number, again, we just said, if they put in the wrong driver's license, they can't run the MVR, stops the process, right? And then you have to go and correct it. Then you reach out to your client. Client was like, oh, I'm busy. I get home 9:30 at night. If I get a message from you, I can't do it during the day. I'm tired when I get home. I was like, okay, I'll get back to you on the weekend. That might be 3-4 days away, right? I might forget to do it on the weekend. So make sure that you get all of this squared away at the beginning, so that at the end, if the application goes through, then there is none of this back and forth. Then you have to go back to the client, everything like that. And we don't ever want to go back to the client as much as possible, right? Exactly. Another thing, premium drafting and recurring payments. Those are all the things that I want your illustration. Make sure your illustration matches your application. If you say a rate class is standard, make sure it's standard. Don't put standard preferred. The underwriter doesn't know what to do. The case managers, they don't know what to do. So you have to give them specific instructions and make sure it matches. Cover letter. This is your friend. Make sure when needed that you are attaching cover letter. Or if you don't want to do it at the front end when you're submitting it, because you're like, oh, I want to see if this goes direct sellers in underwriting, and it's a situation that may need a cover letter, have it ready. Because you don't want to wait until the end and then go back to the client and the client can't get back to you for a few days. So have all of that ready and tell the client, hey, we may need this, so just have it ready, okay? So these are all things you can do prep before to make the process go in your favor. So have a cover letter for any out of the ordinary situations that may come up. Okay, I only needed one slide for this. Read that for me. Right? On, what was it, Tuesday before the 31st of December, an agent called Brenda and said, hey, those requirements that you were asking for, here they are, and can the underwriter take care of it? She's like, I've been trying to get him to give me these things since October. So make sure, respond, guys, when we reach out, when the carrier, because we can't do anything if we don't have the requirements that needed to put the case in force, okay? Okay, so when the policy is ready to be issued, how the initial, and the seasoned people in the room know this, how the initial premium was set up to draft affects how the case is activated and commissions paid. So draft next available means, once it's approved, what happens? The client, if the client says draft next available, right, this is the fastest option for activation and putting the policy in force. Right? So, because that, 24 hours usually, it's draft, next day, and then what happens? It's getting issued, and then, so can commissions be paid before the case is issued? Yes? No, it has to, yeah, commissions has to draft before the commissions can be paid. So this is the fast, so draft next available. So there are several options, draft next available. You can draft on a specific date if the client wants the initial premiums drafted on a specific date. Okay? And commissions can be impacted because let's say today is the 11th, let's say they want to draft on the 30th. Well, the commission is not going to pay until it's drafted, so we have to wait until the 30th. So learn the different draft options. Okay, delayed bank draft, the agent must approve the draft date. So once the case is approved, you get with the client and say, and you find out what date they wanted to be drafted. Okay, delivery receipts. And I'm down to the end here. Guys, you are financial professionals. And financial professionals complete the whole process by getting delivery receipt. Starts the free look period. You want to always make sure delivery method, and which is the best. How many of you use e-delivery? Do you like it? Yes. And I know some of your clients prefer that paper application, but this e-delivery is the quickest way to get them their policy in force and their policies in their hand and commissions paid. So the others are face-to-face, in-person, mail only, but only for out of town. So after the face-to-face or mail delivery, you have other steps you have to do because e-delivery gets everything sent back to the client in digital form. When you do face-to-face, make sure you get all of your delivery requirements signed and sent back, and make sure it's sent back. Always, always get your delivery requirements sent back so that policy can be truly put in force, okay? So return all signed forms to the carrier, and after reviewing the plan with your client, make sure you get all your signatures and everything, and then set expectations for annual reviews. what you just told Trent about. So every year, you're keeping in contact with your clients. Okay? So, we good to go? Yes? All right. So, to your success, we are always rooting for you, and we are always there to help you.